Hello and welcome to London Local History. This is my attempt at sharing some historical information about areas of London that I know well, and to include some of my family recollections of areas that have changed a lot but still retain memories that go back at least 100 years or more. My great-grandparents moved into North London just before the First World War. The street layout remained the same from the 1850s until the 1960s. In the mid-60s, my dad and his family moved out when the local council built the current blocks of flats. It caught my imagination that from the moment the area was first built to the time my father left the area at the start of the swinging 60s, it had remained almost exactly the same. That's something I find interesting. Here we are, this morning of the middle of October, and everyone's on their way to work. This is NW1, so northwest London. That's over there is the Fiddler's Elbow. That's one of the oldest buildings in this area. There's a block of flats there. There used to be a factory there, and over here this is the oldest building. I think this is an old villa from the early 19th century. So if you go walk down that way, that's Prince of Wales Road to Kentish town. This way, that goes down to where the bus is. That goes down to Camden, and this way goes up to Chalk Farm. And if you go around the corner there, that takes you up to Hampstead Heath. So that's Malden Road. And this is Malden Crescent here, and 2024 today, but we're going to be looking at the history of the area. Malden Crescent, this is where my granddad and my dad's family, they all lived in this area. When I say my granddad, I actually think of my dad's granddad, my great-granddad I should say. He moved into the area with his wife when they got married, I think probably about 1910. And my grandmother was born in a house just around the corner on Malden Crescent over there. And there used to be an island where that where the white villa is there. That used to be an island, and there were like four houses there. Three of them got blown up in the war, and this is the remaining one. So it's like grade 1 listed. But this used to be an island in the middle. So you'd have there was 4 of these houses here, and it sort of comes round this way, and then on the other side of the road you had the big factory, and I think my dad's, and then there was a row of terrace houses down that way, so I think my dad's is probably just behind the bus. I think that's where, and there was like an entrance to the factory here, and as I said, this was one of the detached, I think there were semi-detached houses actually. There was like 3 here, and there was like an island that led to there, and then there was a road that would then sort of connect up here, and there was the terrace houses here. So, as I said, this is Malden Crescent. We're going to have a look at the history of this area. Very lucky to come down on a nice morning. That's the block of flats that was built in late 1960s, I think, 67 or to check. But during the COVID, I was volunteering, delivering food, and actually went in there to deliver some food. So it's a lot of old people who live there. One of the caretakers was telling me about how a lot of them, they've got, they don't have a lot of money, and they don't even know how to use a mobile phone. So even though we're right in North London, there's a lot of people who are very vulnerable and just need a lot of support. So hidden away in the tower blocks. But it's Prince of Wales Road. The pub over there, that was built in the early 1850s, I think, 1852, and they built it before most of the other buildings were done. So it was like they sort of getting ahead of the game, basically, and getting set up before all the residences around here were built. So pretty much the buildings next to it, they're like 1930s buildings, but pretty much most of the terraced housing started in the 1850s, 1860s, up until the turn of the century when they finished building the whole area. So very interesting. So we're going to have a look at this area on a map and some old photos as well. Rowney's factory produced watercolours, oil paints and pencils. It was the factory on the Malden Crescent site from the 1880s until it decided to move to a bigger site in Berkshire in the 1960s. It was then pulled down to make way for the block of flats. The big local landlords, like Lord Southampton, were looking at transforming the local fields in this area into villa residences in the 1830s. So these were the 4 semi-detached villas were built on this site. But I think the well-to-do decided to go to St John's instead, and so the area around Malden Crescent in northwest London was built mainly from the 1850s onwards at rapid speed. So the whole of North London started getting built on very quickly. I'll show you the original layout in one of the marvellous Britain from above aerial photos, and of course all the links have been shared below this video. My dad told me that both my grandparents worked at Rowney's factory for a while after the war. I'm guessing like late 40s, early 1950s. My nan worked in the offices and my granddad in the kilns, and it sounded like they're happy there, and it's nice to hear that. You don't always think of factories in that way, so it's nice to hear. The main local streets were completed back in the 1840s and early 1850s, and the local train lines by the 1860s. For example, Kentish Town, it's now Kentish Town West, Gospel Oak, Hampstead Heath. So there was a very quick expansion in population. So from the middle of the 19th century, this area was full of shops, factories, included a lot of piano factories in the area, and a lot of housing. It quickly became a very industrious area in fast expanding North London. Hello and welcome to London Local History. This is part one of our look at Malden Crescent, and today we're going to have a look at the map of the surrounding area of Malden Crescent, and have a look at how quickly the population of North London increased over 60 years or 80 years, and then going to have a look, as I said, have a look at a map of London and of the area of Malden Crescent in London, and an aerial photo, and have a chat with my dad about his experiences of growing up in the area. So thank you for joining for part one of Malden Crescent. So this is the 1869 map that Booth used 10-20 years later for his exploration of the different social areas. I mean, it's pretty grim, you know, like sort of classifying people as vicious or criminal classes as well, but you know, it's a very interesting snapshot of the area that Malden Crescent was part of, and obviously North London at that time. So to start, I'd like to just show the explosion in North London. This is by Ollie Bye on YouTube. It's a fantastic channel, and you can see from the 1815s there's very little up in Camden, very little population, very little building, and then it starts to explode from the 1830s, 1840s on, during the Victorian period. Almost 2 million people in London. You can see around Hampstead, Camden, Islington. The whole of North London is expanding at speed. 4 million people in London, and you can see this is the time when my part of North London was just increasing, and as you can see, this is where London goes from the City of London in the up until the 17th century till now. This is the look at Malden Crescent using the 1869 map. Just going to start off. I'm going to zoom in. We'll start at the just at Parliament Hill, which is up the road from Malden Crescent, and it's wonderful. Parliament Hill is the name of the hill, which I thought was because you could see Parliament in the past. You can only see St Paul's Cathedral now, but I thought that was the reason it's called Parliament Hill, but it wasn't. It was because Parliament troops during the Civil War were stationed on that hill, so it's always been called Parliament Hill to me. But in this map, in the previous times, it had two names to it, so that's very interesting. So this is Parliament Hill, and you can see, look, Traitors or Parliament Hill. So if you're a Republican, you call it Parliament Hill, and if you're a Royalist, you call it Traitors Hill. But it's been called Parliament Hill ever since. So that was very interesting. And this is we're going to focus in now on Malden Crescent and the area around that area. As you can see, this is the area we're going to be talking about today. So I hope you enjoy it. It was a wonderful experience for me, and let's get started. It's an interview with my dad. We were talking the other day, weren't we, Dad? And you were going to say, I mean, where would you say this is? Malden Crescent. Where was your house? Do you think? Was it right opposite the Malden Road, or
no? It was right opposite here. This one.
This part on this one, yeah.
Yeah. That was 9 Malden Crescent.
9 Malden Crescent. I think they say there's a villa on the corner here that's still here from when they originally. This was like the super posh.
That way. There used to be 3 large white houses here that were bombed in the war, Second World War. So then that became a bomb.
One.
Yeah, that's the only surviving one now. But there was 3 other ones similar.
It's very different, hasn't it? Because you were saying about opposite. You're saying there's like houses and pubs.
Yeah, there's the British Queen pub directly opposite. You used to hear their piano at night, honky tonk piano.
Because I remember asking if your dad went into the ship, and he said no, he went into to this one.
Yeah, he didn't really drink that much.
No. I suppose all his gambling mates and
yeah, well, he'd stay sober when he's gambling because he took it seriously.
I suppose the factory. I mean, the factory was right behind your house, wasn't it? I mean, this was.
Yeah, this is the factory here. This space, and that's the entrance to it.
Is it?
This long thing is the entrance to the factory.
Oh. Okay.
And all that's like the factory.
But I mean, this map was done from 1869, so this is obviously, it was like housing here before, and then right afterwards the factory. Yeah,
presumably, because there was an entrance between the houses to get into the factory. So
I mean, I've got this. So I mean, you can see with the map. So you can see here that that's the roundhouse there. And that's the house there, and they've got this. There's a photo. This is from 1920, like an overview. You can see there's the roundhouse there, and then you've got the factory here.
Right.
And that's the corner villas, isn't it? On there.
Those are the 3 that were bombed.
Yeah, these ones here.
What do you call them? Semi-detached.
Semi-detached, yes, yeah.
And that's the British Queen pub.
Pub on the corner. Isn't that amazing, Dad?
And then next to that was the post office. Then there was like a terrace of houses. Then there was that sweet shop that I used to do the paper out for when I was 9 years old. And next to them was a tailor's. And then round the corner it was a terrace of houses again.
I mean, you say the sweet shop. I mean, when they were sort of broken up biscuits and the rest.
Oh no, that was down the road. That was down at.
Oh, I see. So it's a separate shop, is it?
Yeah, no, that's down here. It was here. A Welsh. What was it? Like kind of dairy and.
Like newsagents or.
No, they were.
Dairy.
Yeah, it was like a dairy, like you know, like the corner shops now.
Yes, yeah.
Just like that.
Yeah, because I remember you saying about how like sort of vicious racism against the Welsh, wasn't it? And then obviously the Pakistani and South Asians come in and they've had.
Yeah, it was funny. It was Idi Amin, wasn't it?
Yes, yes.
When they left, they kind of bought up, seemed to buy up all the Welsh. Before it was predominantly Welsh.
Yes, yeah.
Then
I just remember years ago you were saying to me about how they just got very bad racism as well, didn't they? The Welsh.
Yeah. Well, it's the same. The Irish and the Scottish.
Yes,
it's the way the English are, isn't it?
Well, I don't know, but hopefully not. But
and opposite, I was saying about the dairy cream. Factory where they shipped the milk from, and then next to that there was Thompson the greengrocers. Next to that there was
so on this side
across the road, yeah, just opposite. It's funny, it looks more space when you're actually there. It was
but very intense.
Smaller. Yeah, this that's probably my house. It's either that one or that one.
Here, you mean?
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Let's have a look on the.
Because I used to climb out on the roof.
I thought you were on the corner up here, though, Dad. Or the factory took up the whole area, did it?
Yeah, the factory. That's the factory was at the back. I look out my window.
Yes.
I'm looking into the.
But I mean, the front entrance was like on the map that you're.
It was. This would be the entrance next to these houses.
Let's have a look. I mean, so here, so this is these are the villas here, aren't they? So, and this is the factory. This was the factory here, was it? And then you were next to the factory, were you?
Yeah, we were. There was chemist. There was a chemist about here. Then they had the factory where the entrance was.
Yeah.
They had like a shop each side, but they were kept empty. Before they used to show or sell.
Like display windows or display shops.
That was either each side of the entrance, but next to that was the chemist. Lawrence is the chemist.
No.
And they had a weighing machine out the front. I always remember that because you had to pay a penny to weigh, like big heavy old like cast iron weighing machine.
How does it work with the currency? So what was the lowest then? Was a penny the lowest, or?
That was it. It was just a penny. You just put a penny
What's
in.
higher than a penny? A threepenny bit or something? Or?
Yeah, you had a penny, 3 pennies, a shilling.
So shillings,
6 pennies. I think.
Six
Can't
pence.
remember.
People always talk about
6 pence. Yeah, a shilling, and then half a crown. Seems a long time ago.
Well,
doesn't it?
yeah, sorry. I don't want to put you through this, but
yeah,
so the chemist was.
what was amazing about the chemist was it was like wonderful smell. All the perfumes and everything.
yeah.
Always remember that. And it was just like at Christmas. It was very Christmassy. All the decorations and that was kind of stands out.
So that was that was right next to the factory, and then you were next to them, were you, or a couple of doors down, or?
No, then there was another 2 houses. Then the other half of our semi-detached, and then us. So we were like 4 or 5 doors down.
So we pretty much were circled. Like you're basically facing opposite the corner of you of the island.
Yeah, it was just directly opposite the pub.
Yes. That's interesting.
And there's like a telephone box outside the pub, which was because nobody had telephones in those days.
No. What about because in that island? Because when we started talking that day, I was like, "Oh no, stop!" Until we record it. But there was you were saying there was like a yard or something, a construction place or something. Here,
yeah, no, those 3 houses that we were looking at on the other map, they were here. They were bombed in the war.
Okay, so after the war,
and all that became like a bomb yard.
Site,
And breakers, a guy set it up for car breaking. In those days cars were expensive, so people would buy bits of, if they wanted to repair their cars, he'd have loads of old broken cars and piles of tyres.
Did you just pull the light off of one of them, or that?
Yeah, they just he had like a shed in the centre, and they'd just go in and say what they want, and then either he'd let them go round and pull them to pieces, or he'd get somebody to give them a hand or something.
Isn't that wonderful?
But it was like a front for something else.
Yeah, so you say you were dodgy.
It was just really dodgy. But it was
what
very
made it
interesting.
look dodgy then? Just like the sort of characters around there, or?
Yeah, they didn't seem to do that much business.
Yes.
But it was like on the books.
Yes.
For tax
So
or whatever. It's
money, or?
Well, maybe it was just totally pucker, but
it seemed like a lot of.
Yeah, and the guy was always so kind of well dressed and smelt very nice. With
Are we talking about a spiv, or?
yeah. He's obviously black market in the in the war. He was involved in all that, and this become like an extension of that, I think. But really nice, interesting guy.
I mean, it's heartbreaking because you were saying about like that destroyed area there, and then you told me the other day about your house. The back had been blown out during the war. So
the wall,
the rear wall.
Yeah.
So you just
the side wall.
Yes.
Had there's a big crack in it, so they'd taken the bricks out and put tarpaulin over.
And that was for 2 years or something, was it, or a couple of years, or
about a year, I should imagine. And it was like coldest winter then, 47.
What a nightmare! And you're saying you were like quite sickly, and your mum had been told by the doctor.
I had bronchial pneumonia, and the doctor said not to take me to hospital because it'd be too dangerous, and just to hang wet sheets so I can breathe easier.
I mean, because that's just incredible, isn't it? I mean, it's such a dangerous, stressful environment for your mum as well.
You think what she went through. It's
But I just it's one of those things. I've always like bomb sites. Yes, I understand that. I know that, but I didn't appreciate that people's houses that they were living in were bomb sites as well, weren't they?
Well, when the bomb drops, it shakes all the houses around, doesn't it? So there's always structural problems. We were quite lucky, really. We had what's called an Anderson shelter in the back garden that was buried. All it was like a tin.
It's like
corrugated tin thing, covered with earth and dug. So it's just to But it was surprising. The factory kind of survived during the war.
Absolutely did, yeah.
Houses around it were destroyed, but
obviously you're so close to the Camden, the road, the tracks here, the railway tracks.
Right, yeah.
The depot and that.
Yeah.
So. But I suppose for Grandma, obviously she was born in that house, wasn't she? So for her, she wasn't going to leave it, was she? I suppose if she could help it.
Well, in the war, she was in the Women's Air Force, and she was up in Coventry. I think she was about 19 then, because her eldest brother Tom, he'd gone into the RAF, and her other brother wanted to go in to the military, and he had his head shaved and went to sign up, and they said I think he had flat feet or something, and they wouldn't accept him, and that made him very upset. And then but he became like a kind of hero, clearing out all the bombed.
He was a warden, wasn't he?
Yeah, when
deal with all that.
Places were bombed, he'd have to go and clear it up and help them out, and
it's just tragic, isn't it?
Deal with survivors. He had quite a hard time as well. Albert. There was another brother, John, but he died.
He was a baby
as a child. Had a.
Is it a coin or?
Yeah, it was a large penny. He'd swallowed to kind of get attention from my mother, and
it's amazing, wasn't it? Because they all grew up in the same house.
Yeah, there's 3 boys, 3 girls. Florrie was the youngest. She was 11, I think, when her mother died, and that changed everything. And then she was, because my mother was away in the Women's Air Force, she was sent round to Healy Street.
Healy Street, right?
Here.
Right, yes, I can see that.
To the older brother's wife's supposed to look after her, but she couldn't bear it. Didn't get on, and that's why she went to America as soon as she could, when she was 17.
Yes, yeah. That's a war bride, wasn't she?
Yeah, it's just amazing, really.
It's very, very nice as well. I remember you it's very memorable. You were sort of saying about your grandfather, you know, because he was a mounted policeman and he was like at Holmes Road, and you're saying like your nan remembers. Like,
oh, one of her best memories is before the war. All the houses had like cast iron railings and good front gardens and everything. And then in the war, they wanted to collect all the metal. It was rubbish, really. It's just propaganda. But it destroyed all the fronts of the front gardens. Just become good memories of her father. Used to, when he was passing by, he'd come over with the horse, and she'd feed the horse as a young girl. Like,
that's such a lovely.
Give an apple or something.
Yeah, such a lovely thing you said.
Just totally different world.
I mean, you can't really see.
Good memories of her father. Used to, when he was passing by, he'd come over with the horse, and she'd feed the horse as a young girl. Like,
that's such a lovely.
Give an apple or something.
Yeah, such a lovely thing you said.
Just totally different world.
I mean, you can't really see here, can you? But Holmes Road's just. It's not too far away, is it? And obviously the Bull's pub, which you told me about, was
Bull and Gate.
Bull and Gate, sorry, not Bull and Gate. It's, when I walk past, I think, wow, that's like my great grandfather, you know, and all his mates, you know, must have been quite.
Yeah, and he used to go to the Monarch at the bottom of Ferdinand Street here.
Oh, really?
That was like his local pub after he'd retired.
Oh, how interesting! Yeah. Yeah, right on Chalk Farm, on the main road there.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, it shows here because I mean, this is obviously this is 70 years. This map was done 70 years earlier, but all the red and that, so it's and pink. It shows that, you know, these are sort of like middle class, lower middle class. Everyone's going, and then like right down here, all the black is just like these are like the vicious criminal classes. So, I mean, that change. Would you say it's just a couple of like Ferdinand Street, basically?
Well, these are all. I'm not sure what the black is.
I think it's supposed to. Is it supposed to show? I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Actually, maybe I'm reading it wrong.
In the 30s, I think council flats were made here.
Yes, no, you're right. They are. Yes, but actually, I mean, it shows in black, but I think that's just the building because if you look, it's actually coloured pink as well. But yes, that's right. These are these were done in the 30s, as you said. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right there. They're still there, aren't they? Obviously. Yeah,
there wasn't these when I was born. There weren't these streets. There was just blocks of flats there. So, and there was bombing here. So these might be.
Yes, it's before. Okay, exactly. I mean, these are very old, aren't they?
Yeah, it was just round here. There was the bomb dropped, and that's what shook up all the other houses, I think.
Yeah. I mean, was it a nice neighbour? I mean, as a kid, did you have like gangs running around, and did you feel sort of like you had to? Obviously, you had an older brother, so that didn't have to worry as much. But
yeah, no, he always wanted to get on with his mates. He didn't want me around.
No, it's natural.
But if there's any trouble, he'd help with. I played with all his mates, like football and all the rest. But I
mean, for you, like if you come back from school or whatever, I mean, was just like local kids and yeah,
it didn't really. Trying to think.
No, well that's.
Well, I had the friends, the neighbours. There's like Biffy Jones and Ian Ward, and that they were at different schools, so just played with them like in school holidays and that.
But it's just great that I mean you just look at the map here and look at, obviously you're talking about post-war, that there's so many like shops and houses in thriving areas, whereas now all the kids have got, you know, all the schools are shutting down, and
well, it's unbelievable because this was like a little kind of oasis in the desert. There was a whole community here. There wasn't much traffic. Children would just play in the streets.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
And the Farmer Cream here, that's the kind of entrance to the Farmer Cream. And then you had all the shops.
Was there cows there, Dad, or am I being silly?
No, no cows.
I mean, obviously, Chalk Farm used to be, didn't it? I think like a long time, about 50 years.
Yeah.
I think turn of the century, I think there was still a farm.
Yeah.
Obviously, Parliament Hill, they had cows like in the last, in the previous century. But
yeah.
Yes.
All this here was incredible because it's owned by Eton College, and these are all very rich luxury houses,
right? Yeah.
All on leases.
Yes.
That the college controls.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it? Eton Road.
The whole lot, yeah.
Obviously, Eton
College
Avenue,
Road, Provost. They're all named around the fellows.
Yes.
Apart
Eton
from
Villas.
Richard Steele.
Yeah.
But I used to go up here to Real Street School.
Real Street, yes.
I used to go down there, cross over, go up, and then go to Real Street School there.
Real Street is here, isn't it? So this is interesting. This is before there was a school here. Obviously, this is like a long time before, but
yeah, the school must have come like in the 1880s, I should imagine, or whatever. So, but I was there from up till about 8, I think, and then I went to Carlton Road from 8 to 11. I remember at Real Street School when the Queen became the Queen, and we had to march around the playground with little flags, and were given a pen.
Yes,
and a mug.
Oh, that'd be worth
coronation mug, yeah.
But we're not really that interested.
And that was like kind of Christmas. It's so pathetic.
But no, it's just the times, isn't it? Have so little, and that's really interesting. I mean, obviously, Carlton School shut down. Is this one is still going, isn't it?
Yeah, Real Street's still going.
Yeah, I've walked past.
Carlton is like a community centre.
Well, they gutted it, didn't they? They got we had all the kids from.
Yeah.
Have gone to Gospel Oak, haven't they? Which is
right. Yeah.
Sort of the refugees from Carlton School.
Yeah.
What's right over here? Sorry.
I remember vividly walking to school one day, and I found a 3-pence bit on the floor. Oh. And that was
well, that's it.
That seemed amazing. Kind of sticks in my head.
What about this area here, then? Because if you go up here, so you've got Southampton Road goes into Maitland Park Villa, and obviously you've got the church, you've got the almshouses, which are still there. When I did the volunteering during the COVID,
right? Yeah,
I went in there, and it's fascinating. So
that's a really nice community, isn't it? Yeah,
beautiful. It's like something out of a TV show. The priest was sitting in a deck chair, chatting away, and there's all the old geezers and codgers and that were outside.
Like orphan working.
That's
school.
what I want to ask you. Was that there when you? I would have thought that would have gone because maybe they built the housing, but that was the orphan working school.
No, I think that was. I think that became an old person's home, council run, because I think that's where my mother used to work.
Oh, did she? Because they've redeveloped it. That's another place.
Then they redeveloped.
Yes.
That's
interesting. So
but in the must be the 60s. That was council old women's home. Just for women.
It's a bit grim, but I mean, Nan used to clean the bodies, did she, after they died? Was that?
No, they'd.
Where was that then?
No, she'd look after.
Yes.
She was like a care worker.
Yes.
And she always used to complain to the council about how bad things were there.
Yeah, I bet, yes.
And I think they eventually got rid of her.
Yeah, well, that's the tactic, isn't it?
she had she got on very well with the woman who ran it, a Scottish woman who then retired and went up to Scotland.
Where was it then that Nan? Did she do that, or did I just make that up?
Well, no, she had to look after old women. She had to wash them and bathe them and that. But then they would just be taken away.
No, that's right.
The family would take them away. But she would always like she was always there at like Christmas and that, so you wouldn't have like family Christmases.
No,
to be busy working.
Yeah. Oh, but for you mean you didn't?
Yeah, just she worked there for quite a while, I think. But
because when I think about Nan, that working, as you said, that working at the old people's home, she was a cleaner at Holmes Road as well, wasn't she? I think with the police.
Yeah, she. That was after this, and also working up at what do you call it, hospital up the road? Royal Free Hospital. In the laundry there. I think that was the last job she had. Just to.
I remember Nan saying that at the police station, she was telling the coppers off because she was saying that they're driving. They got the siren on. She's saying, "I know you're just getting back to the station. You don't need the siren on."
Yeah, she'd say how messy they were as well because it was like residences.
Of course, the
single police.
Yeah, but I mean that's the thing because that Nan, those sort of jobs, I always think, it's a bit sad. My grandmother.
Well, she wanted to be there because of the memory of the thing.
But she would just want to be very active. But a lot of the jobs that I think that my grandparents did, also they seemed very tough, very sad. But I was really pleased when you were saying about like with the pencil. The pencil and paint company, it sounded like a very nice. That seemed like a nice job to have, didn't it? Like,
yeah, she was working in the office there when I was before Alan was born. When I was a child, because I was
early 50s then.
Yeah,
a bit later.
Before I'd gone to school.
Early 50s.
Yeah, about like 51, 52 probably. And there's a photo of me in a cowboy outfit in the
I'd love to see that, Dad.
back garden of the old woman who used to look after me, and I could see my mother in the window at the end of the garden of this, because it like batted onto the factory of this woman's garden of Mrs. Isaacs that was a couple of doors up, who my mother used to pay to look after me. She couldn't have made much money if she's had to pay like a keeper.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
But when I was little, she used to she'd qualified as a dressmaker before, when she'd left school, and she used to do these she'd get the material and then sew it all together, like making children's clothes, and then we'd go down to near where I used to go to, where I was going to go to school later, at King's Cross, Malden Crescent, to this council house place to give to the woman who was organising it, and then she'd pay her. I remember carrying the bags of stuff, and she'd work quite late at night, like on the machine, like you're doing here. She'd be doing it on the machine.
Yes, no, that's right. I always remember Nan with the
it's just amazing times. It was like tough for everybody.
Yes, everyone's just getting on with that.
Because it was like just after rationing. May have still been rationing.
Yeah, I think that's right, though. I mean, that was us, wasn't it? We won the war and lost the peace. Like we were like France, Germany, Italy. They're all having fabulous food while we were still.
Well, Germany was completely rebuilt, wasn't it? And we're still dealing with Victorian.
Yes.
stuff.
The broken biscuits at the Welsh confectionery down the road.
Yeah, that was a kind of luxury. That was so pathetic.
But that's that whole thing, isn't it, about Monty Python of like, oh, you in my day, you know, or you had.
Well, it's just what people don't realise is there was nothing here. You had no choice. There's no like supermarket.
Oh, yes.
You take it all for granted now.
Yes, yeah.
Here, everything was kind of measured and precious and pathetic.
Yeah. No. But also, like, it was, you know, going back to the factory again. It's that. I mean, it's just very nice that you and your mum and your dad's both there, and you said there was like your dad's, like, you know, it sounded like they both enjoyed it, and he was in the kiln.
Yeah, at the side around here, they had like at the back of the last house, they had 2 large kilns.
Wow.
Where they used to bake all the pencils,
right.
And that, and so he used to put milk bottles in to melt and make like glassworks.
Yes.
Like little animals or whatever.
Yeah, that's great.
And he enjoyed any kind of creative work, but he just didn't, like other people would kind of work at it, where he did it just to show people like how clever he was.
Anyway, well, that's all right. But it's nice.
You
always think factories. I always think, oh God, factories. You know, they seem grim.
Yeah, it was quite open, and there was a lot of space. And
you said when you go in, there was like the tree cutter or whatever it was.
The saw chain. What do you call it? Saw. Massive thing that they'd have like proper trees chopped in sections, and then they kind of smoothed them off, and then eventually they become pencils. But at the front of the factory, as you go into it, on the side there was all the wood stuff. And it was just amazing when you think of it, like in the centre of the city, the whole and I think they had they used to have outings. I'm not sure if that was when my mother worked there, that they went up to Blackpool. I remember before. They used to have outings. I'm not sure if that was when my mother worked there, that they went up to Blackpool. I remember before Alan was born, there was an outing up to Blackpool, and I remember like being very young in the coach with all these people.
All the family went up?
No, just my mother and I went.
Right.
And
James, or your older brother? Or?
No, I don't think he did.
That's a great opportunity for you, isn't it?
Yeah, he obviously didn't want to go, or
thinking this is my chance for freedom, you know.
Well, he was that all the time. That was the.
Yes.
But I just remember very dark, very late at night, and all the rest. Like coming back must have been.
So again, this is like early 50s, and
isn't it? Yeah.
But it's amazing.
It was like a coach up there and a coach back.
Why didn't they just go to Kent for picking apples, whatever? Because that was a big thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was.
St Pancras.
And that the East End.
Yes, I think that's
a big thing for the East End, I think.
But I think it's brilliant that they took you all the way to Blackpool for.
That's it. But it was such a kind of idyllic little neighbourhood that you just took it for granted, really. Especially kind of all the shops and.
Absolutely, yes.
They seem to do quite. Obviously, had enough business to kind of keep going.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, now it's like big companies wanting all the money, whereas in the past it was people working and making a profit, but having to continue working and being happy with that, or putting up with it.
Yeah, it was used to have the trolley buses coming down.
Oh, that's what I want to ask.
And then
how do they go down Malden Road then, or?
Yeah, they went down Malden Road, Ferdinand Street. It's like the 24 bus goes now. Right, it was the same thing.
Yes.
Only it was all the... Maybe that's why there was the wood blocks before, when you had all the tracks.
Right, okay, yes, because you're saying about that, weren't you? And
then
all the wood blocks.
Later they took the tracks away and all the wood blocks and put a different covering, road covering.
I mean, like here, Dad, because I wanted to show you, like here, this is Southend Green, and let's see, just because they had the depot, I don't know if you the depot for at Southend Green. So it's Hampstead Heath Station there. I'll just make it a bit smaller so it's and then there's Fleet, Roderick Road, Lisbon Road, and then you got Fleet Road.
Yeah, and that's there.
Yes, and then there's the tram stable. Did you? Was that there when you were there? It's on the corner. It's the pub now.
No, there must have been. Before the electric trams, there must have been horse-drawn trams.
Oh, that's what the stable.
And that's the horses for the horse. And then it progressed to trolley buses, electric.
Yeah, because obviously yours were electric, weren't they?
And then that stopped. Can't remember when that stopped. Must be 70s.
Right, I was going to say 60s, but 70s.
Yeah, maybe. Middle 60s,
I grew up in the 70s. I've never seen a tram in London in my life. They must have...
No, trolley bus.
I mean, all trolley buses. I've never seen anything. It must have been 60s, Dad.
Must have been, yeah.
Because I grew up, I never saw... I mean, up in other parts of the country,
I used to get it to school, and I left school about 63, probably.
That's interesting. And I mean, interesting, like the Royal Free Hospital, like in the last century, in the
yeah, that's really changed. That was a kind of old, yeah.
So obviously that changed in 20th century, didn't it? Obviously,
yeah.
Obviously, when they got rid of smallpox,
and then
which was amazing.
Like demolished it and built the new one. That was like very controversial. But yeah, all the hospitals in those days were quite grim.
Yes.
Really, they were like kind of workhouses.
Yes. Yeah, well, that's
must have been depressing to work in.
Yeah, I suppose people just want to avoid the dentist and avoid because they're torturers and avoid
the. Yeah, absolutely.
But that's really interesting. But brilliant, Dad. Yeah, let's stop there, Dad, because that's really good. That's really good, and have a look at.
Did they show the river there, the Fleet?
No, because this is still the Fleet River had gone by this time.
Gone. I think right along here it was probably reduced to a ditch, wasn't it, and filled in with junk anyway.
Well, that's like Fleet Road. Do you remember? I did that the building, building study, and the architect actually took me around the houses on Fleet Road and was saying that they had to have especially deep foundations because underneath, so there was the river, and then in the 1700s or 1700s they're just piling so much rubbish in that they could actually build on top of it, and so all the houses were just built on rubbish on top of the river.
Right, yeah.
So then they had to clear the whole thing out and actually have very deep. So I think well,
it's amazing kind of engineering, isn't it?
Yeah, I think. If you go over to Kentish Town and that Angler's Way, I think people at the turn of the 19th century had talked about when they were kids that people would be fishing on that part. So
yeah,
but I think 19th century all gone.
Yeah, my parents were coming down there during the war. They'd just been to the cinema. There used to be a cinema
on the corner
at Kentish Town.
Is that where the the stationery is
Yeah,
now.
I think so.
Yeah.
Just round the corner from there. And they walking down Anglers Lane, and then the bombs started dropping.
They hit the cinema, didn't it?
Yeah,
Did
the
they
cinema.
just come out the cinema?
Yeah, they were quite lucky, just coming down with
Yes.
all shrapnel or whatever.
Yeah, of course. That's going to kill you, isn't it?
But it's funny, they kind of tell you these stories, and at the time you're not really paying much attention. But yeah, I was just looking for where we were before the.
Oh, sorry, Dad. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, up a bit.
Sorry, Dad.
Yeah, just what
You said
was like the entrance to the flats
Yes, on
that
Ferdinand
became
Street.
here. There used to be big metal gates, like to stop cars coming in and parking. And then the gates were, when the gates were closed, they had things in the bottom, like metal rings, to secure the gates. And I was running up the road one day and tripped on one of these metal rings, went flying into the gate where you put the metal thing down, and I was just so lucky, it just went in my head.
Yeah, she punctured your head.
I had a big hole in my head, but it didn't penetrate the brain.
Yes, God.
And I had to go down Bayham Street. I was saying to my mother, will I die, will I die?
Yeah, well, you're right to ask, but
She rushed me down to Bayham Street. They had like a clinic there where it's on top of Charles Dickens' old house there
okay, yes.
at Bayham Street, and I can remember the bright light and the big needle
Dad.
and the guy
Sewing up.
talking to my mother and saying how lucky it was it didn't penetrate.
God.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. I'm just glad it wasn't.
These days you would like sue the council.
Of course, Dad. Of course you would, Dad. Yeah. Then you just stick some vinegar and brown paper on,
and they just rushed around and removed the stuff.
Yes.
And took the gates away.
Dreadful.
Just
Dad.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think that was before Alan was born as well.
I mean, talking about crazy behaviour. I mean, what about the bomb sites? Which were your favourite bomb sites? Can you remember on the?
Well, at Chalk Farm Road, there's quite a few over. There was the one across the road, as I say, that was the biggest one.
Yes. Obviously, that man had taken it over. The guy had taken over for the business.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. But it was still like a bomb site with a venture playground with all the tyres. You'd climb up and jump off onto other
He wouldn't
tyres.
kick the kids out, or?
Oh no, he liked it because
that's
it's.
nice.
He was there with his girlfriend, and he's obviously doing business on the telephone all the time. So it was like we were like if we were there, people wouldn't come and steal it.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Totally Dead, obviously.
What was it, Brian? I forget his other name. My best friend who was further up the road, on the other side of the factory. We used to play there, and in the war when my father went over, like D-Day +6.
Yes.
And you go on the beach and then you queue up to get some food, and he was queuing up to get some food. Somebody called out to him, and it was the father of my best friend who lived up the road.
Oh, really? Wow.
It was just so unusual.
Oh, what are you doing here with his
and they're in totally different units.
Yes.
Because my father was in the Duke of York's Light Infantry, and the other guy was in some London thing, I think.
Yes.
But it's and I used to go up to their house and like watch television, because they had a television and we didn't. I think that's why the guy became my best friend.
Well, must be amazing, wasn't it?
But yeah, it just all seems so pathetic now when you get older.
Yeah. But I mean, talking about your granddad, I mean, like when he came to London, is it Highgate Road? There's the train place where they've got the Sainsbury's that's been built now, hasn't it? On the road, at Maitland Road, up there.
Right, when your grandfather.
Yes, yes, and that was where they cleaned the trains or something, was it, or is it around here, or? Because this is Maitland Road. Oh no, sorry. Yes, this is Mansfield Road. Sorry, and then Mansfield Road goes past Gospel Lake Station, and then it's like around here, isn't it?
Yeah, Gordon House Road.
Gordon House Road. Yeah.
There was.
That's right.
A large wallpaper factory, Soane Kids, and I think that's the first place he got a job when he came down.
Oh really? So it's not not working on the trains then at Gordon House?
No, that was a wallpaper company.
Oh, I see.
But they've converted now into like separate offices and that. But it used to be one big place. But yeah, no, over. If you go to like Regent's Park, if there's Regent's Park there.
Let's see. Sorry, Dale. I'll just try and make it. I'm not sure if Booth has gone. Yeah, I don't think he's gone down to. We haven't got Regent's Park just here yet. I mean, this only goes to Camden, to Chalk Farm, Dad. I'm afraid we can have a look at that another time, can we?
Right. Yeah, that's where he. He joined like as the railway as like a cleaner.
Yes, yeah.
And they had like lodgings at the other side of the round. Where's the roundhouse?
It's just down. So I think we're just.
No, on the other map there's the roundhouse, isn't there?
Yeah. Let's have a look. Yeah, just here. That's right. Because we walked past there, didn't we, the other day? Do you remember Primrose Hill?
Right.
So I think this is.
And up.
Is up there or is it up?
Just up here. There's a road. There's a thing, and there used to be the residences for the railway
Didn't
workers.
We walk past it, Dad?
Yeah.
It was over that bridge.
I was saying it was a shortcut, and you were saying it wasn't a shortcut.
It's here, Dad. This side, yeah, because that's the station.
Oh, I thought Chalk Farm Road, right?
And there was the bridge.
Yeah.
And it was just, and then they go into Coxsett, and it's a very interesting big.
Yeah. So
it's somewhere around there.
He was in here, and he made friends with my mother's brother Albert.
That's right.
When he was working here.
Yes.
And then they were riding one day round the outer circle.
Yes, yes.
That's when he first met my mother.
Oh, yes, that's
because my mother was involved with somebody else.
Right, yes.
But I think she was about 15 or something.
Yeah. But then after that, then he worked like cleaning on the trains.
You had to start as a cleaner.
Yes.
Then you go as a fireman.
Yes.
And then you go as a driver, so you kind of work your way up.
Where do you think he was before the war started?
He was at.
I mean, what stage was he a fireman? But he wouldn't be working on the trains by then, would he?
Yeah, he must have been, because in the war he was teaching the thing. Yeah. So this must have been like in the 30s, early 30s.
Yeah.
Because he came down when he was quite young.
Yes.
So he was born in 1919.
Yes, yeah. So say he was like 15 or something, or 16.
Yeah, it's about 16, 17 when he first came down.
1925. No, it's 1935, sorry.
Right.
Mid-30s, say.
Yeah.
1930s. Because the only reason I'm asking is because of the story about like in the war, like he was shipped off to Egypt,
right?
And then they were supposed to be fighting in the campaign there, but then they found out that he'd been on the train, so he got shipped back, and then had to go through D-Day to get onto the trains, to then start supplying the trains.
Yeah, he had to teach. He was teaching over there of how to drive the trains.
Yeah. But then he was on the trains, of course, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was on the trains, and then they had to walk along the tracks before the trains, looking for mines and that.
And booby traps.
And that's when he was blown up.
Yeah.
And then in hospital for 6 months, I think, with and had
concussion, probably.
Yeah, he had lots of things, and I think that was it. Because James was born just when he came back, I think.
And there was war-torn Belgium, and
he used to do all this black magic, black market stuff, and send it back.
Yes.
And all the censors, post office censors, stolen.
Jewellery, wasn't it? Things like jewellery.
All things, cameras.
Yes. Yeah.
Like Leica cameras.
Everything was just nicked before.
Yeah, yeah.
Like your mum never was.
He didn't know because he was in hospital, but.
That just scandal. I mean, they don't talk about that. The level of corruption and robbery and
there's a whole different reality going on. Yeah.
And another thing, like I remember you said as well about how he was just really shocked with the French Canadians. About they were real monsters, weren't they? Real butchers.
Well, it was they were getting revenge because of what the Germans had done. But at that time, most of the Germans are gone, and they're just like children fighting.
Yes, yeah.
I think.
And I think it's like cutting like the gold out people's mouths. And
cutting fingers off to get rings and.
Yes.
They're all the same, whether it's the Germans or.
Yes.
You just get in a kind of animal state, don't you? No, just surviving.
It's just interesting because
you can see it now in the Middle East.
Yeah.
But it was just amazing, the institutions then, like what the railway had, and it was like a real institution before they privatised it all.
Well, that's like, if you look. I mean, you've got Camden town here, and then you go up to like Kentish town, just above, and that whole area again is just incredible. The amount of space that they had.
Yeah.
Like here. This whole area, which is. They're trying to sell it now, aren't they? For to build that enormous,
supposedly film studios and private flats, and
just land grab.
They're saying there's a good amount of like social housing, but nobody believes.
Yeah, but you could just, as you said there, just showing how like the middle, the engine sheds and the huge amount of space around it.
Yeah.
It's just quite epic.
What's amazing, where you used to go to school at New End, and the...
yes, it's up there. It's that we don't have that bit of the map here.
On the map it shows the hospital that was next to it, and the huge chimney for burning the
on this map. We could have a look at it next time, but on this map from 1869, that was a poorhouse dead. Before it became an old people's home, it was a poorhouse.
Yeah, I think it was a leper hospital as well. I think that's what I was going to show you on the map.
Well, we'll have a look. We'll do the next one. We'll stop here, Dave, because it's.
I think he said leper hospital. Next to the chimney.
Oh dear.
Well,
we'll stop there for today.
It is unbelievable, isn't it? The secret kind of.
But I think. There's a house up the road on the right, and down there, that direction is Southend Green and the Royal Free Hospital. We're just walking up to Flask Walk. I've walked up the road from Hampstead Heath along Well Walk. So very nice, like autumn day. Here's some lovely cottages here, and these next to it were the local baths for people to have a wash and get their clothes cleaned. It's built in 1888. Before that, in about 1700, there was a popular bathing well here. It's really nice house house on the corner there. And this is my old school, New End. The River Fleet runs under it, and in the basement of the school there's a concrete well with a grate on it, so you can see down at the Fleet that still flows past underneath. My dad told me, the parents were invited down to see it, so it flows down to Fleet Road by my house, and then obviously down through London to the Thames, and we're at the top of the hill here. So I started there in 1976. I've been coming here a lot, this area. This road leads up to Hampstead Tube Station. I remember going to a school party in one of the houses at the end of the street here. They're really lovely places with like nice gardens at the back, but that was probably about 10, I think, then, so it's a long time ago. But again, it's a very nice street here. But let's go up this way. The houses here are slightly more modest, but lovely. Really nice place. I wish I would got an arm and a leg to live in one of these lovely modest houses, but really nice. But you can see, and then as at the back here, so we've got again some like cottages here, and then as we walk up, we've got this really lovely old housing estate here. It's a really nice brick and iron work, and there's another one. There's two parts to it. That's my school. You can see it's the holidays today, so it's very quiet here. And it's amazing how many young men from here died in the First World War, just from this area. Like dozens. There's a few dozen on there at least. Unbelievable. But it's a really nice atmosphere here. Just it's like very peaceful, and again, I don't think you would have heard my voice like shouting in the playground there. I was always very noisy and talking all the time. Now, as we go through this gate, it looks like something out of Harry Potter. This was the old People's Hospital when I was at New End. The teachers took me and my classmates to sing Christmas carols in there in the late 1970s. I just remember lots of the residents crying, and I couldn't understand why, but we were all singing Christmas carols. But obviously now I can appreciate how cathartic it must have been for them. The workhouse in the Booth map that I showed earlier was the original one from 1800. This one was built as a workhouse and an infirmary in 1869, and the round area was, let's see if we can just see the round area there. Was built in 1883. Thankfully, in 1930 it was turned into a hospital only, and finally a geriatric hospital, and it closed in 1986. A New End school was built in 1906, and hopefully, again, it's not too noisy for the neighbours opposite. The chimney really stands out. Even as a 6-year-old, I remember us playing Star Wars in the playground here, with the chimney looming over us, the corner playground there. We used to think that all the old people got cremated in it at night, and then their ashes would float into our playground. But I wish I'd known about the Clean Air Act that was in 1956. And it's just amazing, this area, that in about 1910 that you'd have this chimney connected to the boiler house, the main workhouse and the infirmary. So the chimney is there, and then on the left hand side next to the school is the dispensary. So like get the medicines and that. So as I said, that's where the chimney, then you'd have the boiler house, the laundry house, you know, so obviously for the clothes for the workhouse and infirmary, then the dispensary, and then the pub on the left was the City Arms. But again, that I think that closed in about 1910. But just before that, you would have had a pub there. There was a pub behind me, the Fox and Goose. So apparently, these are all, you know, like whatever 100 years ago. But for a very short time, you'd have had the school, pubs, workhouse, and the hospital. It's so fascinating because these maps are this whole area only basically grew up in the 1850s, so there's nothing there before.
Right, yeah.
And now, and then you were growing up in the 50s in this Victorian, you know, and then, you know, even today a lot of it's still there, but, you know, nothing like what, you know, you're basically living on the same grid, aren't you, as the original.
Yeah, I think my grandfather, when he came back from South Africa, he was in Essex for a few years, and he must have come up here before the First World War.
Right, really, yes, yeah. Yes.
Because he lost a lot of friends in the First World War, and that really affected him as well.
No, imagine, yeah. Because he was in the Second World War, wasn't he? So he must have seen so much, like...
yeah, yeah.
I mean, that whole thing about eating the leather, so eating the leather saddle or the belt or the boots. Whatever.
It was the boots, the leather boots. From the boots, yeah.
Just because
it was soft as well, presumably.
Right.
But, yeah.
Just really tough.
Yeah.
Man, wasn't he? And tough times. And.
But they never talk about it. It's like file it away.
Yeah.
Like from the family and whatever. But it was. It had such a tough life.
But he seemed like he was like, very happy. Like when he moved here as a policeman and.
Oh yes, he was. There was just the tragedy of the son dying.
Yes. Yes.
And then the mother, his wife, dying.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And then.
Because she died in the neighbourhood, didn't she? She was out walking. She had a heart attack.
That was just across the road from where I said the tailor shop was.
Oh yes.
That was 12 days before my mother got married.
Yeah, well that's it, yeah, 'cause she wasn't happy, was she? So it's like here, isn't it, Dad, around this area?
Yeah, it was just there, in the middle of the road. There's there used to be a little island in the middle of the road, so you could cross halfway if cars were coming. And that was, and she was quite young, I think. She'd had a lot of children. I had 6 children, but seemed very fit because her sister, I didn't know her, but her sister, I used to know my auntie, like before Alan was born, and she didn't seem particularly old then, so her sister couldn't have been that old when she died.
No, I think everyone just looked a hell of a lot older.
Yeah, it's just the dark clothes and everything, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, going back to this picture, Dad, I mean, that's what I wanted to ask you actually. It's like, when you look at that picture, is that, I mean, it's in black and white, the plain photo, but that to me looks like what you
That is it, yeah, it's just black and white.
Very grey.
I was saying about when I went to stay with my American relatives when I was like 11, it was like Technicolor, where they were,
Yeah, well, the Americans as well, isn't it?
And here, everything is exactly. It's all covered in soot.
Yes, yeah.
And that's it. It's just all soot.
Yeah. I mean, that's it, isn't it? All the bricks.
Well, it was all the chimneys. People in the winter, just all the soot come out the chimney.
Yeah.
You'd have people come to clean the chimneys.
Yeah, it's amazing. But that's proper.
And they'd put a cover, like a sheet over the chimney, before they put their rods up with a brush.
Yeah.
And then they pull the rod down, and you hear a boom, and then and it would go all over the room.
Yes. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it, in the morning? Because I know Mum said, like, you know, when she was very young, and her parents made her get up. She had to get up first thing in the morning, and get the coal.
Yeah. Light the fire with the old newspaper under the.
I mean, as you said, those streets must have been incredibly busy because there's so many shops there, so many factories.
See, those are the three that were bombed.
Yes.
And it looks like there was like a garden or a park behind.
Yes.
And
that became the.
Yeah, that was the junkyard thing.
Oh, that's fascinating.
And that's the one that's still standing. That used to be the doctor's.
Yes, it's a graded. Grade listed
and
building.
That looks so dirty there. I just remember it was bright with big windows and honky tonk piano.
Oh, that's fair enough, isn't it?
And Alan's friend, I forget what his name. Alan used to go over and play with the boy across the road whose parents owned a pub in Alan's time.
Okay, the same pub.
Yeah, probably different owners. But I think that's the piano factory. Either that or that is the piano factory.
Right. I mean, the neighbours on the neighbourhood WhatsApp, a lot of them are saying about they've looked at history and how, because there's so many piano factories in the area, and so it's like young men doing like work. It was quite hot. They had money, so that's why there's so many pubs in the area. Because you know, like sort of thirsty work, they've got access to money, and you know. Yeah,
it used to be a pub on every corner, I think, at one time.
Yeah.
This, that's where my father used to work and gamble. That was I think that's the bus garage.
Right, yes, I know this story though. It's very unpleasant, isn't it? Your mum used to send you.
I used to go over and have to go upstairs, and he's at the table with the cards and say, food. Yeah, I know, I'll be there in a minute.
Yeah, your poor mum.
And I come over and I say, I told him.
Yeah, no, it's dreadful, isn't it?
She just wanted to
get him out of gambling.
Stop because every Friday just be an argument about where his money's gone.
Yes, it's very tough.
It's just pathetic.
Yeah, but it's just normal. That was normal life, though. I know.
Well, she'd have to get it off my grandfather.
Yeah, but it's just normal life, though, isn't it, Dad? I mean, I was going to say, like, Mum's granddad, you know, Charles, who was like a right mean bugger, and his wife used to have to pawn his coats, his you know, Sunday best, and then go back to the pawn shop to get it out to go to church again. I mean, it is grim, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's terrible. I'm not just, you know, but it's just it's bare bones.
That's the one. That's when my grandfather used to.
Oh, fantastic! Though, yes. Unfortunately, I think it's closed now. I think, or I mean, it's all these pubs. They just changed.
Yeah, they just
haven't they?
Taken music. Thing taken over, I think.
Yeah.
And but at the front of here, the brickwork, the corner of it had so you could like hold on and climb up, you know, like a climbing wall type thing. I used to do that when I used to. It
wasn't designed for that, though, was it? It was.
Oh no, it's just
supposed to be
because there was nothing to do in those days, so it was a thing. But yeah, it's just amazing seeing it. laid out like this in the 30s.
Isn't it, Dad? Yeah, 1920, Dad.
Yeah.
They're saying.
And that's where you go along up to, that's the railway that we go to now when we go to Highbury.
Yes, yeah.
Down there.
Yeah, it's got, yeah. No, it's fantastic.
There was a bomb site here, and I remember with James, we were going down one day, and there was a pouring down of rain, and there was a big round like water pipe thing made of concrete.
Yes.
And we hid in there when it was pouring down of rain. It's funny little kind of vivid memories.
Well, that's very cool, isn't it? You're with your brother in the I was going to say drain pipe. It wasn't a drain pipe, Dad, was it? It was just a concrete
it's amazing seeing all these. These didn't exist when there was just the blocks of flats in that place.
Also, obviously, the next decade, like in the 30s, that's when they were built, weren't they, Dad?
Yeah, and that's when they were bombed, probably.
Right, yes. Obviously, yes, in the 40s, in the war.
Yeah, that's the piano factory. So I'm not sure what that is. Maybe it's all the piano factory, this whole area.
Have a look, Dad. Let's have a look and see what... sorry. Because, yeah, it does say... What is this? There's...
Infant school.
No, that can't be a school, can it? Infant school. Oh, obviously, these are much earlier, aren't they? So it's probably after.
Yeah.
No. Anyway, let's stop there, Dad, and then we'll have a look again. And it would be great, look at the 60s as well, or the late 50s and 60s, like teenagers and the places that people go.
Right.
Hello and welcome to the last episode in the series on Malden Crescent. We've looked at this map many times now, from the turn of the century, and you can see the names as well. There's St Andrew, Haverstock Hill, and St Martin, Kentish Town. These are named after the local churches that were built at the same time. So that's St Barnabas, Kentish Town. So they're sort of vestry districts. So the church at this time still had a lot of financial and legal power in the area. So this is Holy Trinity, Haverstock Hill. That's where my that's the local district for my family. And this changes very soon, actually. But at this time, on the maps at the turn of the 19th century, this is still that way, and you can see this is the local church. We're having a walkabout, and you can see that's the local church that was so the Church of the Most Holy Trinity was built between 1849 and 1850 and was consecrated in 1850. So that's the same area as Malden Crescent, and the whole of these areas really all built at the same time. And when they were built, they were named after the districts they were built in, were named after the local church, Church of England, in this case Holy Trinity. In a minute we'll have a quick look at a map from 1908 where again it just that's changed, but there's an autumnal school, and the school that was there as well. So that's Holy Trinity. See, this is our map from 1908. So by then you can see this is our same, but the names are different. So it's just Kentish Town, there's Belsize Park, and Southend Green it's called, and Parliament Hill is no longer Traitors Hill or Parliament Hill. It's just Parliament Hill, which is the way I know it. But you can see this is now things have changed. The local government has taken over, and this is the borough. So it used to be at this time still the parish. You can see that's where the family come from, and it's still at this time the Holy Trinity district, Housdock Hill, and the borough is St Pancras. At this time it's still a parish, so it's the parish of St Pancras, which is about to change, and it's become the borough. So it was in 1900. So we're going to visit the St Pancras, old St Pancras Church, and that's the garden that we're going to start out in, and just have a walk around. So it's very interesting. So this is the borough that my family grew up in, was St Pancras, and then that changed again in 1965 of Camden. These are still dotted around. Metropolitan Drinking Fountain and Cattle Trough Association. Right, so we're going to go and visit St Pancras, and these are dotted all over. There's the Metropolitan Drinking Fountain. So a lot of, not a lot, but there are these dotted all over the place. And let's have a look around. So this is St Pancras. King's Cross is just down that way. In front there's the smaller the buildings in front of us. Those was St Pancras Hospital. So when my great granddad was in his 80s, my father used to have to come down at lunchtime from school to take him out. So they would go for a walk. Great grandfather was in a wheelchair. He's, like I said, his 80s, and my dad used to take him to the park where the gardens we're going to visit. So again, he was just saying about how grim the Victorian hospital was, but and over there's some bloody awful skyscraper, which is where I actually at the weekends I used to stay with my mum, who lived there briefly before she moved. So I know this area very well. It's really, again, just the atmosphere. I just find here, New End, Bloomsbury, very similar atmospheres. Just a lot of history and very interesting areas. So let's cross over the zebra crossing, and we're going to go and visit old St Pancras Church gardens, and you can see it's like wonderful, like gated gardens here. And I don't really remember as a kid coming here, but came here quite recently, and to visit the Sir John Soane Mausoleum. But first, let's have a look. This is the entrance. There's the church. The church is actually quite recently built, but the area, they're saying, it's from the 4th century. They're saying Romans were camped here, and it's consecrated ground in the 4th century, so it's incredible, So, but as an old church, I think in 1593 there's a cartographer, John Norton, who said that he thought the dilapidated St Pancras Church. So there's a lot of local belief that St Pancras was very old, perhaps the oldest church in England, they said. I've got to come and pay homage to the Sir John Soane Mausoleum, which is a wonderful, if you ever get the chance to visit the museum, this is in the museum in his house. This is where the idea for the telephone box comes from. The designer of the box, he was a trustee at the Sir John Soane Museum, so in 1925. So He didn't actually mention that he'd used this, but I think he saw the design of the mausoleum. I don't know, but I don't think he actually visited here. I think he probably just saw the model that's in the Sir John Soane's museum, and that's what where the design came from. So, but as I said, wonderful museum to visit, and just very interesting place, really. I think they were saying if you look that it's been ransacked a couple of times. I think that's why they've got the big gate around it now. I'm sure a couple of years ago that gate wasn't there. I'm sure when we visited. So so quite a few changes here. Unfortunately, there's the big gates around here because of vandalism, and then there's the hardy tree as well, which we'll have a look at in a minute. But unfortunately, that's not there either. I think, very interesting. There's first of all, the tree was infected. They're saying that, and so in 2022, the hardy tree fell down. It was under threat from being an infectious, a parasitic fungus infection. So the tree fell down, and now it's been removed. But it's a shame, really. But also, there's a very interesting article in the Camden New Journal that came out about how this historian was saying that basically the hardy tree, it's not true. But he obviously, Hardy, the famous British writer, he did work here when they were clearing the tombstones, because the train was the Midland King's Cross train station was being built, and apparently polite society didn't like to go on trains past cemeteries, so it was removed. But you can see this was so apparently they were put here, and but apparently it was a self-seeded ash that grew. So and it was after Hardy had been there. So he was overseeing the removal of bodies, but he didn't have anything to do with the tombstones. This is the local historian Malcolm Holmes, but I'll leave a link to the article. So again, very interesting if you're a fan of Thomas Hardy. And I saw this a couple of years ago when I visited, so you can imagine I was very surprised when I went, and it's just not there anymore, really. And to be honest, I think it's a very nice place to visit, though, and you really, again, just like the area itself, it has a feeling of it's like a different world, really. But the Fleet River, which flowed down through from at the top of Hampstead, obviously past my old school New End, down past Fleet Road, which is just up the road from where my father grew up. Then it also flowed, I beg your pardon, it flowed down past here. And even in the 18th century, there's the people by the river, and then obviously it made its way down. So this was like on the way to towards the Thames, but you can see again, it's just it's a real shame, really. There's a picture showing the church, and you know, just a nice sort of area here. We're at Tumnor at the moment. This is a real shame, actually. I came, there was all these, like, this is a real reminder of like growing up in Bloomsbury. Like, you go to any sort of local park and it's like there's a cemetery, tombstones like piled, a lot of homeless people living in Camden and in tents in gardens, basically. Unfortunately, there's one tucked away in the corner here as well. But you know, lovely tombstones, lots of them from the early 1800s, and of course all the Huguenots. There's a lot of Huguenot graves and a big marker celebrating all the people that came over from France. So you know, but you know, very nice place. As I said, this is St Pancras, so that was the name of the parish up until the 1900s. Then it became the borough of St Pancras, and hopefully that's a helpful end to what I've really enjoyed, and really looking forward to the next one on Clerkenwell. So thank you very much for watching.